form this relationship with the client from the time that they come in to the time that that car leaves.
Some of these relationships they have are long-term relationships.
It's similar to a marriage.
It's something that you think about when you're going to bed at night.
There's a lot of give and take.
You know, you make that commitment and that's it.
It's the first thing that comes into your mind when you wake up in the morning.
How much time and effort you put in is exactly what you'll get in return.
The relationship the client has with their vehicle is very much like a marriage.
There's highs and lows.
It's all about the satisfaction that you're going to get of a job well done.
The relationship we have with Gil and Linda and the vehicles is like a marriage.
That relationship the client has with that vehicle, we share that with them. So we're both married to the ride.
Gil and Linda are married to the rides.
So the big trend lately has been these modern drivetrain upgrades on these projects, and people have been really getting elaborate with them. Not just the motor and trans, they've been doing these new chassis as well. So what we find on the interior side is when we have a client that's doing these modern upgrades, when it comes to performance and suspension and handling, we notice that these clients also want modern amenities inside the vehicle. They definitely want a new AC system, a brand new sound system that has the quality of a modern vehicle. And the little touches like seat heaters. We even had a client talk to us about a heated steering wheel. So definitely when we look at the upgrades of performance, it does go into the interior as well, because that client has a certain expectation. If they're going to go fast, they want to feel comfortable. And that's where on the interior side we focus on that. We keep you cool. If you need to be cool, we keep you warm. If you need a little heat on the seat, and if you want to sound really good, not just with the motor, you want to turn up the knob on the radio and have some amazing sound quality coming out, we take care of that as well. So not just performance, you need a touch of comfort once in a while.
We're noticing now a lot of these older classic cars, people love the look of them. They don't necessarily love the way they drive with all the original components. And performance is a huge request that we have here. We actually have a 72 Bronco that's here, and that's really, he's not changing the exterior. Everything was already, we're leaving it as is, but he really wanted this thing to perform. We're getting ready to actually pull out the motor and kind of disassemble everything, come up with a game plan. We have all the parts here ready, and how we're gonna get this thing back together and back on the road. So we had Paul come in, he dropped off the Bronco, and we hadn't taken the plastic off the motor. We did take the box off, because you don't want to be struggling with that in front of the client. That thing was staples everywhere. So it was kind of cool to have an unveiling, so to speak, and have him be able to get to see it for the first time.
I'm Paul Kreusch, dropping off my 72 Bronco at GCD Auto Studio in Florida, New York for a Coyote swap.
I don't think you realize, because you look at the Bronco, it seems kind of compact, and then you see this giant motor that's going to be going in, and I'm looking at the motor, and I'm looking at the Bronco, and I'm looking at the motor. We know it's going to work, we know it's going to fit, but just the sheer moment when you unwrap this thing was pretty crazy. Do they have the zipper? Oh,
I got it.
Awesome. Oh wow!
All right, the old 302's going, and the new one's coming in, the old Coyote. Look at that thing. Beautiful. We'll get the beast over here put in. I'm looking forward to the performance it's going to offer. We're looking at almost a tripling of the horsepower, up to about 450, 460. So it's going to be pretty exciting to drive this truck around.
That's awesome.
Let's get you caught up to speed on the 1969 Corvette convertible. We've gotten a lot done since the last time we spoke about it. Guido took care of the full dash, so not just the dash pad itself, but the dash face, which is a multiple piece production there, and that has to tie perfectly into the center console. So it was imperative that he got everything wrapped in leather, we get everything installed, so that way we can finalize the console. Along with that, we have to get the A-pillars done. Julio wrapped up the kick panels, so those are all set. So next up for the 1969 Corvette convertible is the door panels. Very involved door panel. If you look at the rendering, a lot of details there. So we got the chrome trim already done, hand polished by yours truly. Tyler did all the fabrication on it, so now it's in Guido's hands. Guido has to make sure everything's dialed in. He likes all the gaps.
Right now I'm working in the 69 Corvette. Today I'm going to start working in the door panel. The old door panel had a gap between the panel and the body of the car, and I had to start filling this gap. I glued a piece of cardboard to the panel, touching the body of the car. That's the way the panel is going to lay down perfectly to the car. This is the door panel for the 69 Corvette. Now I know where exactly is the gap that I have to fill in. This is the material I'm going to use to fill in the gap. I'm just going to glue the piece to the panel. This is like a PVC material. It's solid, but at the same time it's so flexible. That's the first step. The second one, I have to wrap the panel, and everything is going to be like a one piece. You're gonna make a cover, make some stitching, and ready to wrap, right?
He's got to make all the templates for it. He's got to wrap all the panel in leather, so nice top stitch, and then we got to get everything mounted and functioning 100%. So that's up next.
So today on the 72 Bronco, Scott and Rich are going to start taking everything out. Obviously you have to remove all the wires, motor, trans, all that has to come out.
All right, today we're working on this 1972 Ford Bronco that came in. It's actually doing a new engine and transmission, wire harness, and a four-wheel disc brake conversion. You
kind of want to start with a shell in case you have to make any alterations. I know that there's a passenger side wheel well that goes in that's specifically made for the Coyote.
This Coyote is much more performance orientated than the engine that was already in there. It had a small block 302 in it, carbureted. So now you're going to a new Gen 3 Coyote. I believe it's 410 or so horsepower. And it's going to turn this truck into a monster, actually.
It's so nice.
I wonder if it's going to fit.
I know, right? Look, it's huge.
The first steps to getting this new Coyote engine and transmission into this Bronco is to gently remove all the front end of the vehicle. So this is a beautiful paint job on this truck, but we do have to remove the hood and the fenders, the grille, the rad support, just to get the old engine and transmission out so we could test fit the new engine and transmission and then see what we have to modify in order for to get this to fit in there.
We have all the parts except for the transmission, which hopefully will show up at some point. It's on track to be here, next couple weeks. And we're gonna try to mock up as much as we can, without the transmission, which is a little difficult. But there are other things that we can do in the meantime. There's a whole power step kit. There's a whole wiring harness. So I think depending on whether or not this transmission shows up, that's really gonna dictate, the next steps for us. But the first thing is, once it's all apart and everything is out and everything's ready to go, is coming up with a game plan, based on not having the transmission. We have the headers, we have all those things. But the whole point of having the transmission is to see if we have to cut that tunnel or not.
So we do have a big pile of parts for this Coyote swap and this Bronco. Besides just putting the engine and transmission in, we're doing a four-wheel disc brake conversion. The client wants us to go through the transfer case and make sure all the seals and bearings are good, no leaks in there, and also the front and rear differentials. He wants us to go through and make sure that all the bearings and seals are good in that. again, so there's no leaks. We're also adding power steps on the side of it because it is lifted a little bit, and actually with the Coyote motor swap, you do have to do a 2-inch body lift in order to fit that inside. So he wanted electric steps to help him get into it because it's a little taller.
We are doing an interior of sorts. It's not going to be a custom interior in this Bronco, so once we're all done doing our part with the tunnel and everything's in and everything's wired, there's a really cool Tom's Off-Road makes this kit that's already done. Everything's all set, your benches, your buckets for the front, it's all upholstered, it's black, it comes literally, you pull the old stuff out, put the new stuff in, and we're all set. So Gil doesn't even have to touch this one.
So in the 1969 Corvette convertible, the big piece we have left on it is the center console. So this car has AC, so we have to account for AC vents, AC controller. We did a radio delete, so we're hoping to utilize that area where the radio used to be to put our controller in there and maybe a USB port. We're going to go with a full Bluetooth audio unit, so you won't see any of the screen or dials or anything like that. So
today I'm working on a 1969 Corvette, and we have this old dash piece that was in the center of the vehicle, and I had a radio that used to go here with the knobs. But we don't want to destroy this. We have to put the new climate control center, which is a little piece right here, as well as a couple of push buttons.
Big part is now Tyler has to take that console, get the center part that fits in between that beautifully wrapped dash, and dial in all these components. And I think there's like 6 gauges as well. So it's a very involved piece, a lot of wiring, and in the end it has to look, once again, like factory.
Our 72 Bronco project's moving along nicely. We had a couple of requests from the client. One of them was to take apart the transfer case, go through it, make sure everything was working.
This is a Dana 20 transfer case out of the 72 Bronco that we're presently working on. Customer asked us to look into the transfer case a little bit. A lot of signs of leakage around it, so we decided to take it apart and check it out. As you can see, a lot of the seals are probably from the beginning of the car, the life of it. They haven't been changed in a long time, but the quality of the oil wasn't terrible in it, but when we did start looking at the bearings, we didn't feel anything, but one of the bearings of the shafts, you can see the marks in it. And normally what that marking is because the bearing is too tight. This cover goes against the bearing, and according to what I've been seeing on online in YouTube videos and in different literature, it's supposed to have steel shims in it. I'm not really seeing anything, and that might be explained as to why that bearing got damaged. So we'll be checking in the clearances. We're going to replace all the bearings as a precautionary measure, along with seals and gaskets that it needs. There's a couple of them that are broken, some very thin ones.
On the 1972 Bronco, I was able to get out of my wheelhouse and do a little, mechanical stuff, which I don't normally do. Don't particularly like to do it, but it's nice to get away from, the same thing every day. Me and Dan were able to, we did the brakes and some rear end work on it, and it was a good time.
So the next thing for the 72 Bronco is our seat kit that Bob will be putting in. It was something that came from Tom's Off-Road, like really nice, a little bit different than the original, but made for that. So it was a little bit easier to put in than starting fresh or customizing something. And we didn't have to get the interior shop or Gil involved. That was something that we can handle here.
On the 1972 Bronco, I was also able to do some interior work. We had some door panels and seats, and I was able to get those. We got those from Tom's Off-Road, and yeah, they put them on, and I'm officially now interior guy.
All right, today myself and Rich are working on the 1972 Bronco. Some of the parts that we did order were on back order, so we're going to be switching over to today to mount up the AC box and the heat box inside the vehicle and figure out how that all works. First, you'd have to remove the old system, which Rich did this morning already, which was awesome. And then now we're just unboxing the new unit and going to put all the pieces down and take a look and see what the order of operation is of putting them back into the vehicle. For that, so we're going to go right up 4 inches from the center and drill 2 more holes. Okay, so that makes sense for that. And then what about here? We got another hole, existing mounting hole. Oh, there's 3 different times of drilling. Okay. Okay, well, at least they tell you, so hopefully all those holes are there. Up the American Auto Wire update kit for the 72 Bronco, just to take a look inside the contents to make sure everything is there, and then I'm going to start to mount the fuse panel into the Bronco today while Rich is working on the AC box.
So the 1969 Corvette convertible, all the fabrication is done. We have officially reached the install stage. So now we're getting all these beautifully wrapped leather pieces inside the car. The person waiting to get their job done is Kurt, because we can't let him put the convertible top on because it's just going to get in the way. Guys like having no top on so they can get all the panels in and out. They don't have to worry about ducking in and out the car. So once everything's in there, we'll get the seats in, and basically, once again, it's going to be up to Kurt to bring this one home, get that beautiful cloth top on there, and this thing will be heading home.
All right, today we're working on the 1972 Ford Bronco, and we are going to be test fitting the Coyote motor inside the factory engine bay.
Yeah, we had quite the challenge to fit the motor into the Bronco. Obviously, there was a lot of modifications in the fender wells and the firewall, so that's where Bob came in. And then also we wanted to body work it so it looks all smooth, so Koba came in and did the body work there, and we had Jay paint the engine bay. And but before that, we had to make sure that everything fit, so we did a dry fit of everything, just so you know where everything is going as far as any kind of, you know, if you have to plug up holes in the firewall or if you have to make additional holes, you don't want to do that after it's painted. And it's definitely, it was, I didn't think it was going to fit. I was a little skeptical, but the guys made it work. You know, Scott and Hank did all the mechanicals and the wiring, and they did a fantastic job.
Another long bastion like that.
Yeah, just
okay. Something fell on.
It wants to drop in the passenger first, but I would really.
Yeah, we need the driver first, right? You got the block, so it's just kind of.
I'm in.
Oh, you're
In.
okay. Now.
All right-ish.
There are some modifications that we have to do inside the engine bay to make sure that that motor fits. It is hitting a little bit. and everything's pretty much mocked up in there. But again, all of that will come out. We'll make our modifications, paint everything nice, and permanently put the motor and the components back in.
So my name's Hank. I'm a mechanic by trade, welder, fabricator. Today I'm working on a 72 Ford Bronco. We just did a Coyote swap. The beginning process of it. Engine's in, the transmission's in. Now we're trying to get all the throttle by wire, all the harnessing located and the ECU located. Not a lot of room in the dash, and there's going to be a lot of wiring under the dash. So I'm just trying to make sure everything fits and looks presentable, and it's serviceable. So if the guy breaks down somewhere, anybody can fix it. The payoff is the startup, hearing a Coyote, a brand new Coyote motor inside of a 72 Bronco. I mean, it's an awesome feeling, and just listening to it, and all your work, all your fabrication, the months and months it takes to build and fabricate something like that. The first time you start it, I mean, the feeling you get is it's like no other. So.
Oh my gosh, the anticipation of not knowing what it's going to sound like, because honestly, I've never heard a Coyote motor before.
So we just wrapped up the 1969 Corvette convertible, Stingray. Kurt just got finished putting the top on, and I got to tell you, this top fits perfect. It's one of the nicest fitting tops we've put on a Corvette in quite a long time. This black canvas is stretched nice and tight, looks great. So let's talk about a few more details on this 69 Corvette. For instance, the door panel. I mean, the way it's just form fitted, it reminds you of the original panel, but we've added a lot more bright work to it. So all that custom trim has been hand formed by Tyler. I jumped in there, I polished everything nice and bright. We've got the custom emblem in there as well. And I just love the way it pairs right into the dash. So all the bright work on the door panel goes directly, lines up perfectly with all the bright work on the dash, which again highlights that beautiful steering wheel that Guido went and hand wrapped, hand stitched everything. So you got the 2 accent stripes in the steering wheel, which match the accent stripes in the door panel, and then goes right into the seats. Julio took the original seats, cut it down all the way to the frame, re-sculpted everything, padded it, made all the patterns, and then stitched it up, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So one of my favorite parts of this 1969 Corvette has to be the center console. I just love the way Tyler took the console, tied in some of the original pieces, built a whole custom section around it, and it looks seamless. Especially if you take a look at where the AC controller is, with the 2 push button starts there. So if you take a look at that, the way the texture matches perfectly to the gauge texture, it is so spot on. And then the storage area, which bumps up, is reminiscent of where the e-brake used to be. So that fits in nicely. And then you gotta look at that shift boot area, that whole centerpiece with all the original chrome, it just looks seamless. So definitely one of the most exquisite parts of this interior. When you look at it, it is actually where you're going to be looking at most of the time when you're shifting and you look down on it. It looks just like it was purpose built, like it belongs there, and it's always been there. So definitely one of my favorites.
So the Bronco is complete and it's heading home. We just have a detail to do. So exciting. I know the client is very happy to get it back and be able to drive it and enjoy it. It sounds amazing.
Came in for a motor, and the Tin Man got a lot more in the process. He's got a new transmission, new brakes to make sure we harness or hold that power back and be able to stop. We got radio, new seating. Aside from, as Linda said, aside from paint, we basically touched everything.
The client wanted performance, so obviously we did the Coyote motor. We also did an upgrade with the transmission, and we went from a stick shift on the column to an automatic on the floor. And with that also comes convenience and some other things that we did, going along with convenience were power side steps.
Getting into it originally before we put the body lift in was a little bit of a challenge. You can get in, but you're pulling on the steering wheel, you're leaning against that. And I saw the availability of these electric steps that tuck away completely. You don't see them. I don't like running boards, but they're going to be a big help getting in and out without any problem.
We did an AC system, and then we also updated the gauges, and nice new radio and speakers, and a wonderful seat kit, which is great. It's direct fit from Tom's Off-Road. So just some creature comforts, a little console, but it's kind of like being in a new car, but you're still in a 72 Bronco. So it's the best of both worlds. You still have this awesome Bronco exterior and that iconic, like classic Ford, Bronco look, but you have all the updated Ford power underneath.
When I first came in and you fired it up, it's like, again, nothing but smiles. Just the sheer power and the excitement that noise power brings is tremendous.
Big smile.
The Bronco has left the building. That was actually, it seemed long, but it went quick for the amount of work that was done. And I'm looking forward to Paul's feedback, see how he likes it after he puts some miles on it. It's a completely different feel and ride than what he had. And it was funny though, the smile when he pulled out and tore up the road, it was great.
Yeah, I know.
It was
You know
awesome.
what seemed longer? The test drive with Paul. And me as the passenger. And that was amazing. I said, Paul, you got to take it easy because we're just breaking this in. And that lasted about 30 seconds. And then it handles the road really well.
Well, it's a
really
Coyote.
fast.
You got to get on it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he got on it. He got on it, all right. And thankfully, we made it back in one piece.
I'm glad because that means he's having fun with it. That means he's enjoying it, and it means a lot. So that was a cool project. It was different. I love the Bronco anyway because me and my 4x4s, but it just kind of sad to see it go. But I'm happy because he's around, and I know we'll get to see it again. So, and I'm sure he'll come to some of our open house and things like that. So.
My favorite part was that we didn't have to do anything on the interior side.
Yeah, we did it for you.
Well, yeah, you got Bob now. He's the new interior guy, so
listen,
he was great at opening those boxes and putting the seats in.
Listen, sometimes you guys are just too busy for us, so we gotta be
never too busy
innovative.
for you.
Oh, liar.
But it's great to see it on the road, and I can't wait for see him out there enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I'm excited.
Another amazing week.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. I have my coffee. I'm clinking with. I just only have coffee.
Some barrel bourbon here. My buddy Joe there sent me some care package, so
I have to get some buddies. I don't have any buddies with liquor.
You got me. I'll share.
You're my buddy now?
Yeah, I'll be your
Wow. Okay.
One of the things we specialize here at GCD Auto Studio is handcrafted interiors. Here's a great example of one of the latest ones leaving our shop. On this 1966 Nova, we just highlighted some of the original stylistic lines, but we upgraded it with modern materials, such as this beautiful Relicate leather, this Alcantara suede, and this velour carpeting. GCD Auto Studio is the place to go for all your interior needs.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.